What's good? What's good, everybody? Man, great day, good morning, grand rise, whatever that you answer to. This is just, it's in a pop up style. You already know me and Smitty, the pop up messiahs, the pop up boys. But, right now, I'm a little solo. Don't know if Smitty going to end up jumping in here or not, but just had some thoughts on my mind. And normally I feel bad about coming in without being on camera and stuff like that. But sometimes you just got to get the content out. Hopefully that's all right. And for anybody who tunes into this and watches that, if you don't mind, some content being off camera, sometimes, then just give me a that's all right, in the chat and whatnot. But guys, I just had to come in this morning and talk about this because I talked about it on Hawks Digest last night about Pat Beverly and Trae Young. They're having an exchange. They've had an exchange over the past couple of days, going back and forth at each other. And how do we get here? How do we all start here? Well, apparently, a question was asked by Hoop Herald. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think that they were necessarily asking Pat Bev in particular. I think Pat Bev just answered the question, and Trae Young kind of took offense to it. The question was asked, why do NBA players hoop like harder or hoop better, act like, so their contract is on the line when they are at an open run more so than the actual NBA All-Star game? And Pat Bev chimed in and said, well, the NBA All-Stars take the game for granted. It's just a good bump. It's just a good time. Trae Young chimed in and said, hey, look, let the All-Stars speak for themselves. Now, initially, I didn't think there was anything malicious behind that. I didn't think that was an issue at all of having Trae Young say what he said, letting the All-Stars speak for themselves, like Ashley saying, let a grown man speak for himself. But, of course, we're all going to have opinions. And, of course, Pat Bev had his. Off of that tweet, Pat Bev would then go on a complete rant on Twitter. For those who saw it, it was like a 2-minute and 30-second rant about him just going off on Trae Young, saying about things like, oh, I know former teammates that used to play in Atlanta, and it's the Trae Young show. It's just the Trae Young Hawks. It's not the Atlanta Hawks. And when I heard that myself, I was like, okay, so how long have you been having this pent up? Because if you've been watching the Atlanta Hawks lately, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, and talking about leadership, Trae Young has been working on his maturity. Trae Young has been working on his leadership, and he's showing it by his actions. I mean, this past offseason, you just look at it, the Atlanta Hawks, they're adding all these different pieces to the Atlanta Hawks for Trae Young to orchestrate it. The Hawks are putting the ball in Trae Young's court as far as leadership and saying, hey, give you the opportunity to go lead this team. We're putting pieces that can help you on this team. Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You got Luke Kennard. By the way, Luke and Nickeil, Trae Young got on the phone. He got on the horn now and said, hey, we need you guys here in Atlanta. That's leadership. Him not going to the Paris event to where he could have been around a bunch of stars. You never know what kind of connections he possibly could have made furthering his own brand as Trae Young. But guess what he did? He didn't go. He was in Vegas rooting on guys like ASAP Newell, rooting on guys like Kobe Buffkin at the time, rooting on guys who were trying to make a roster spot and trying to carve out their way for this Atlanta Hawks team. He was sitting there rooting on those guys, him, Jalen Johnson, and others, supporting the Atlanta Hawks. That's growth. That's maturity. He's talked about how back when he was a part of like the All-Star reserves back in Atlanta, and how he did not but participate out of spite. He's grown from that. He actually embraces the role of just being an all-star and just enjoying the moment. That's maturity. That's also leadership. That's growth, accountability, all those things. And for me, just even coming into the whole thing, yes, am I a fan? Yes, but I'm also in the media too. So I feel like I have a right to chime in on this as well. And I'm sorry, but Patrick Beverly, as much as I respect the player and what he did on the defensive end, that's the last guy to me that should be talking about leadership. We have so many examples of Patrick Beverly not displaying leadership at all, not leading a soul. Only thing he's leading is himself. That's the only thing he's been doing. My thing is the whole thing with Chris Paul pushing him in the back, that right there was just inexcusable. And I'm gonna keep it right there and keep it professional because it really was something else. But I'm not gonna say what it really was. But you guys will get an idea of what that really was. So my thing is, we're talking about somebody leading, we're talking about somebody winning, and this guy, the same year that Trae Young went to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's the same year that he went to the Western Conference Finals. You have the same amount of conference finals appearances, and championships that Trae Young has. 1, 0, and 0. The only difference is you have one man who just finished year 7, going into year 8, still having the opportunity to still win a championship. You, shoot, man, you on podcasts just like me. You probably got one you working on right now, just like me. Yes, you're a former player. Yes, you know what I'm saying? All the things I've heard about, great teammate, a guy that you want to play with, not play against, all that stuff like that. But all your antics, all your you being extra, you doing too much, just on the court, like you're just the last person to me, just me from my observation on the outside looking in. You're the last guy that needs to be talking about leadership. And Trae Young, he doesn't need any help. Because Ice last night about 12 o'clock, I might well say this morning about 12 o'clock, Ice Trae decided, hey, man, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I'm not going to sit back and just chill. And like he even said in the video, play that little Drake song and and you know, and just follow up with tweets and stuff like that and just keep on going about my business. No, he made a special episode for Pat Bev. Pat Bev, you got your own special episode from Ice Trae Young. Since you wanted that attention, like he said, saying what he said, you wanted that attention, and he gave it to you. It was so funny that Trae Young said things about, hey, there's levels to this. There's levels to this ish. And it's so funny because I feel like, shoot, Pat Bev got bodied by a DeBarge. He got bodied by kind of like a singing person. It's so funny like how all this like is working out. It's ironic, man, honestly. But Trae Young coming out stating facts, stating about how, yeah, I haven't had all these all-stars that you've been working with. I haven't had all these great players who are still carving out their name into the game like you have had. I haven't had that. You've been to the playoffs? Yes, 9 times. He's been 3. But my goodness, man, regardless, you still have the same amount of success, if not less success, in a totality of a career than Ice. Now, I will give Patrick Beverly some credit because there are some things that I actually agree with. The things that when he was saying about Trae Young being comfortable, now comfort kills, and I feel like comfort kills. So you can't be too comfortable. You can't just feel like, you know, everything is so secure all the time. I do feel like, you know, it is some benefit to not being comfortable in certain situations. I mean, we can go to the Falcons real quick. I mean, their kicker right now, Parker Romo, he talked about in his interview on how he has gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable because he's been on multiple teams. But, you know, not everybody feels that way because Pat Bev has been on multiple teams. But you never heard him talking like that. But that's neither here or there about, you know, Parker and Pat. At the end of the day, I'm proud of Trae Young. I'm proud of Trae Young, man. Because, you know, anybody that knows Trae. Trae doesn't really respond like that. He just kind of like does look a little tweet, like you said, does the Drake song. He goes about his business. Everybody kind of like knows the cryptic tweets and the cryptic things that he's trying to say. He's just not actually coming out. But to actually come out and just speak your mind and defend yourself and defend what you were saying, because he also got into context about the tweet that he even said himself that he totally forgot about. Totally forgot about. But yet here comes Pat making this whole outrage and outcry about winning, saying that nobody's going to remember your name if you don't win. Well, my thing is, do people remember Dominique Wilkins? Do people remember Charles Barkley? All guys who didn't win championships necessarily, but they're greats. I'm talking about greats, Hall of Famers, some of the best players that ever played in the league. You think people remember Patrick Ewing? I'm just asking a question. These are all players. You think people remember? Okay. Do you think people remember Karl Malone, John Stockton, any of those players like that? Do people remember Steve Nash? We can go on and on talking about people like forgetting your name. My thing is, I just name players all players that has done way more in the league than Patrick Beverly. I even had some people even respond on my Hawks Digest video that I dropped this morning, and it literally, like, as soon as Trae dropped his response, I'm dropping my rebuttal for Hawks Digest about about what Pat Bev says, and then Trae comes and flames him himself. So sometimes you just got to go ahead and just drop the content, and that's why, like, even though I am preparing myself for my day, I just had to come in and just chime in because, again, I'm proud of my point guard. That's my point guard. That's my PG1 right there, who's standing up for himself against guys who were pretty much in the league considered like bullies. And me personally, I don't like bullies. I really don't. And honestly, I'm just happy that Trae was able to defend himself, take this to the next level, and make a special podcast for old Pat Bev. As he says, you got what you want, Patty. This one's for you. This is what you wanted. I don't like, again, it made me feel like the way that Pat Bev respond talking about teammates and everything. Trae said, state your source. And that's what I was trying to figure out too. I'm like, what former teammates? I'm like, who is it? Kevin Herter? I don't think so. What? Patty Mills. That must be who it is. It's a Pat thing. Patty Mills. I'm just saying, like, help me out. I don't think it's John Collins. It definitely not Lou Will. So again, like, you got to state your claims on these things. Like, I mean, we're a part of the media. Just like Trae said, I don't even consider you as an NBA player. I don't look at you as an NBA player anymore because you're not that. You're part of the media. So I challenge you to state your source, because yes, who are the guys who are saying these things about Trae Young? I would love to know myself. Because again, if you look at it and you dissect what Pat Bev was saying, yes, he's talking about his playoff appearances. Yes, he's talking about his success, some being on teams. And yes, it is a team game. It's not about necessarily being the star player. But my thing is, how effective were you on those teams? And we can pull up numbers. And even Trae was starting to talk about numbers as a career average before he was about to get up and walk off. By the way, if you haven't seen it, if you're on Twitter, it's definitely on Twitter. Also, it's on another one of my pages, A1 Forever Shorts. I pretty much like edited it into the important parts, so it's about a 7-minute video of Trae Young just absolutely going nuclear and putting this man, Patrick Beverly, in the blender, on the grill, sauteing him, just like, I'm glad that he did. I really didn't think that Trae was going to respond. I'm going to be real with you, just because of his past and how he has not responded in the past. Of course, like I said, going back, doing the same things. Like I said, the Drake thing, the quotes, et cetera, and just keeping on going about his business. He was actually vocal and defended himself. And I'm all for somebody defending themselves. Dude, even if Pat Bev was, and I highly doubt it, by the way, but even if Pat Bev was to come back out and try to defend himself or somewhat and against everybody, he has that right. Everybody has their opinions. He has that right. But I'm just happy about my point guard standing on business, letting Pat Bev know exactly how he felt about the comments that he made. Comments about all-stars, and like Trae said, and you never had an opportunity to even have a chance to be an all-star. That's just facts. There was nobody that was voting Patrick Beverly as an all-star. That was never going to happen. So it's like, I get what he's saying. And then it makes it even more impressive because guess what? Shoot, man, Trae Young is around the same size as Pat Bev. So, hey, Pat, why you didn't have enough skill to get where Trae Young was? That's on you, dog. But at the same time, don't be coming for the Atlanta Hawks point guard when he still has a career that he is still building right now, and just coming out and spewing some of these things that makes me feel like you've been holding on to it. Again, go back and listen to what he was saying. Oh, I've talked to people who've played in Atlanta. Not who? Somebody recently? You talked to Terrence Mann? What? You talked to Georges Niang? You talked to DeAndre Hunter, didn't you? Or was it Bogdan Bogdanovic? Again, I'm naming guys who I just don't see going out there just saying these things, but I could be wrong. We'll see if Pat Bev states the sources. But that stuff right there, that sounds old. That sounds like something that you've been holding on to for the past couple of years, and all of a sudden you got a reason, or in your mind you formulated this reason to be able to come out and say the things that you said about Trae, as far as being a teammate, a leader, the Trae Young Hawks. And I feel like you just feel like they're the Trae Young Hawks. Because again, if you've been watching the Atlanta Hawks in the past 2 seasons, and especially this past off season, you will see that the leadership is there. You'll see the maturity of Trae Young is there. You would see that this man is taking and embodying everything for Atlanta. He even said himself, I have to go get in the gym because I'm trying to get this championship run and bring a championship to Atlanta. He wants to bring a championship to Atlanta. That's what he's focused on. So he ain't got time for the foolishness. But he made some time, and that's my point. I'm happy that my point guard made some time to talk about guys like Pat Bev who try to attack him. And Trae has been attacked multiple times. It's all about standing up for yourself. And I ain't gonna lie, he absolutely flamed Pat Beverly, talking about, playoff experiences, talking about all the people that he's played with. And it's just saying, like, you can't walk in my shoes. You don't know the pressure that I feel being in these shoes, putting the Jordan shoe up on the table, man. Like, absolute cinema. The whole thing was absolute cinema. And I say again, man, shout out to Trae Young, and shout out to anybody who decides to stand up for themselves. What's good, Robert Blackman? Yeah, man. Trae's clapback was definitely on point, man. And shout out to my man, Smitty Sports Machine. Don't came and popped up in the chat. Yeah, man. I'm just getting ready for my day. I'm about to ready to get up out of here in a few minutes. But I just had to get in here and talk about Ice Trae, man, and his clapback on Patrick Beverly, because I feel like it was so legendary. It was like chef's kiss seeing that late last night before I went to bed. And I was just like, yeah, man, that's how you want to go to bed right there, man, on something on a high note like that. So again, I'm happy about it. Salute to my point guard. Salute to the man himself, Trae Young, for standing up for himself. And I mean, only because I've never seen him do it, especially in the fashion that he just did that. So everybody has a breaking point. Everybody has a pushing point. And once you push past that point, we already know you never know what's going to happen. You never know how the next person's going to respond. Pat Bev probably didn't even think that Trae would even respond like that. He probably think he was just going to roll off the bat just like he has done in the past. But not this time. or at least not for you, or at least I'm not going to let you slide. And I was cool with that. But again, I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. To me, Patrick Beverley was just one of the last persons that should be last individual should ever be talking about leadership about anybody. Because who have you led? Who do you lead? That's not in your family. You know, so we're talking about basketball. Like Trae said, we're all talking about basketball. We're not talking about nothing personal. This is all basketball. Who have you led? What have you won? What do you win outside of the defensive, being on the first team or being on the second team defensive all-star? I mean, defensive player team. Like, what have you won? Like, I'm trying my best with you. So I'm glad that, again, before I get up out of here, y'all, because I'm winding down on this. I still have to go get myself prepared myself. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of stuff that I gotta do myself. So at the end of the day, man, salute to everybody who did pop in for this. Salute to everybody who watched this on Twitter or YouTube and whatnot. Salute to every last one of you guys. Again, I'm about to get up out of here. Peace and blessings to you all. Make sure y'all find y'all peace. Positive energy always creates elevation. And I feel like Trae Young definitely found his peace last night, clapping back at Patrick Beverley because he deserved it. All right, you deserved it at the end of the day. So with that being said, salute to each and every last one of you guys. I'm about to get up out of here. But hey, man, this felt good right here, man. Just being able to come in and, speak my thoughts, speak my mind about this Trae Young thing. It was on my mind, and I'm glad that I did it, even though it was off camera. Again, if it's cool with, being able to drop some content with y'all, man, off camera, then just say, man, that's all right. It's not going to happen all the time anyway, but sometimes when you just got to get that content out, even though you're doing other things, I think that this is a good way to do it by being off camera and still speaking on these topics. So until next time, guys, peace and blessings to you all. And to you all, I'll holla.